G'day legends, UFC 305 is over and let's talk about it, right? It was, to me, amazing. It had absolutely everything. Massive wins from future GOATs of the sports, horrible judging, fan favorite wins, massive upsets for the fan favorites, Erceg's, it'll be okay. It had bloody everything, mate. The Aussie crowd showed up. They were there for every single fight of the night, from the very first fight all the way to the last fight. The Brazilians, you need to learn something, all right? Don't just come for the main event, okay? Come for the entire card. I haven't had so much fun watching a UFC card like that in a long time. Now, I'm not going to cover every single fight, but let's start from the ones that I do want to cover, from the bottom working their way up. Jack Jenkins. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Number one, Herbert Burns. What an embarrassing fight. Absolutely no heart at all. I would say cut him, but just keep putting money against him. Why should the UFC cut him when he just makes us money? The return on investment on Herbert Burns is safer than a bank account. Honestly, it's better than a bank account with Herbert Burns in the UFC for you to just go ahead and put your money down there. But with Jack Jenkins as well. Phenomenal boxing. That was old school Jack Jenkins to me, which is wild because I know he's a prospect in the UFC. But to me, that's how Jack Jenkins used to look back in Eternal. And then he's had a bit of a shaky start in the UFC. He was a bit of a wrestler on the Contender Series, but that crisp boxing that we saw yesterday from Jack Jenkins, that's how he was in his Eternal run. And if that is what we're going to be seeing more of in the UFC, I was already selling tickets to the Jack Jenkins hype train, but now I'm the lead conductor. It's everybody all aboard on the Jack Jenkins hype train. We're going all the way to the top. Future UFC top 5 got incoming, okay? That's Australia's next big deal right there. I'm loving it. Next up was Pratez versus Jingliang. That's the next one that I want to talk about. I did pick Li Jingliang to win that one, but oh my God, did Pratez look amazing. He just looked amazing. The shot selection from Pratez was beautiful. He turned Li Jingliang into the Korean zombie, right? That second round finish was so nice. And now the Brazilians have a nice little new wave of talent incoming. They really should be getting around their prelim fighters, you know? I mean, I know now Kyle Baralho has been moved up to a main event fighter, but Kyle Baralho is an amazing prospect. You got Jan Silva, another amazing prospect, and now you've got Pratez as well. It's not over, Brazil, you know? Go to the arena for the prelims, guys. You will like it. There are a lot of great Brazilian up-and-coming fighters. The next fight that I wanted to talk about was Tuivasa versus Biggie Boy. I really enjoyed this fight. It was a nice, technical heavyweight fight. Technical for the heavyweights, you know, if the flyweights were fighting like that, you'd say cut them both. But for the heavyweight division, I really enjoyed that fight. That might be one that I'm going to go back and watch to actually watch some decent heavyweight boxing. When it comes to the judging of that fight, the judge that gave it 30-27 for Tuivasa, welcome to Australian authorities, my friends. You know, I'm so glad that the MMA world, the UFC world, got to see what it's like with the authorities in Australia and their decision making. It is truly horrible. It has been my living nightmare for most of my life. If you give someone a position of power in Australia, they will screw it up with sheer incompetence. That's the way that it is here in this country. Thank God that halfway through the pay-per-view, John Anik goes, yeah, nah, he's not sitting down and judging a fight ever again. Get him out of here. That was the right decision to be made, finally. As for Tuivasa, is he cooked? Is he done? Yes, unfortunately for Ty, it is time to head off to the BKFC. Even if he does still want to be a fighter, Ty has gotten involved with several businesses in Australia, all based around alcohol. And it looks like if the man isn't going to be a cage fighter, he is just going to live up to his dream of being a professional pisshead. And if that's what he wants to do, then good on him. But being a cage fighter certainly isn't for him anymore. So Ty, Bam Bam, thank you for the laughs. It was a great run, but it is over now. The next up that I want to talk about, Dan Hooker versus Mateusz Gamrot. I am so happy about this fight for so many reasons. Number one, I hate Gamrot, and now he's gone. See you, Gamrot. Get out of here, mate. Lightweight's meant to be fun. Number two, Dan Hooker's back in the top 5. I never thought we would see that again, but he's back. And number three, lightweight in general is back. I made a video earlier this year talking about the demise of the lightweight top 5. That's over now. We got Paddy Pimblett. We got Renato Moicano. We got Dan Hooker. Lightweight in 2025 is going to be electric. I am so happy that my favorite division is now shaping up to have some great fighters in it that are going to be contending for the top 5 again. We're going to be talking about Dan Hooker versus Dustin Poirier too. Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje. Like, Dan Hooker versus Oliveira. These are amazing matchups. I'm so excited. I could not contain how excited I was about Dan Hooker beating Gamrot yesterday on the live stream. I was running around my office like a moron, just screaming at how happy I was. So I am just thrilled that Dan Hooker got the win. Thank you, Dan, you absolute bloody psycho. The next one that I wanted to talk about was Kai Kara-France versus Bedtime MMA. Look, Bedtime was winning until he wasn't. You know, Bedtime looked really good. Great, clean striking, great, clean boxing. But it turns out that Kai Kara-France just is that guy. Throws that shot down the center, knocks Bedtime MMA onto his ass. It was beautiful, beautiful from Kai Kara-France. Now Erceg. This is a very weird story for Erceg, right? Erceg has gone from a UFC debutant almost straight to a title shot, showing some, just gifted a title shot because no one else was there. Lost it in a close fight that makes you really go, huh, okay. But Erceg's close to winning a belt. Like, Erceg clearly could contend for a title. You know, he was one takedown away from being a world champion. But at the end of the day, he lost. And that's all people are going to see on that record, is someone who was rushed to a title, got a loss, and then lost his next one. That's 2 losses in a row. It's a very bad story for Erceg. On the flip side of that, for Kai Kara-France, it's a great story. I think we should just go Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France straight away. And as for the new kid coming over from Ryzen, Kaya Sakura, put him in there against Steve Erceg. You know, that should be a win for Kaya Sakura, and it's a big win for Erceg as well. Now, I know that kind of sucks. We're sort of giving Steve Erceg the Piotr Jan treatment, where he's only getting hard matchup after hard matchup after hard matchup, and you can start to build this storyline that Steve Erceg isn't very good, like we did with Piotr Jan. But when you look at Piotr Jan's losses, they were just against the best of the best of the best again and again and again. And I think Erceg is so highly skilled that you do kind of need to give him those tests in the UFC, which kind of sucks for him, but it is what it is. So I would say Erceg versus Kaya Sakura, and Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France, and that's it. Now that division actually gets interesting again, which is great. And finally, for the main event, oh my god, Israel Adesanya didn't catch Dricus Du Plessis with the counter. Instead, Israel Adesanya decided to stand and bang with Dricus Du Plessis, and I think was piecing up through the center. It was, firstly, an amazing fight. So good to watch. So good to watch. How did I score it? I gave the first round to Israel Adesanya. However, having said that, that first round was so close. You give it to anybody, I don't care. You could give that one to anybody, I don't care. That was a razor close round. Now, the second round, I gave it to DDP. And the third round, again, I think Izzy just edged it. The body shots from Israel Adesanya, and not just with the hands, I'm talking the leg kicks as well. The leg kicks to the body, the kicks to the body. Amazing. That inside uppercut from Izzy was wonderful. So I would give the first round to Izzy just, the second round to DDP clean, the third round to Izzy just. Okay, it was a very close fight. I'm going to need to go back and rewatch it. Then, of course, DDP just smiles and decides to win. This is my big takeaway from Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. For all the people out there that want to talk crap in the comments and say, if you don't train MMA, you shouldn't have an opinion on it. If you don't talk about what you don't know, you've never been in there. And for all the Dan Hardys, right, out there, or even the Henry Cejudos in their bloody war rooms, mate, with their bloody whiteboards and their screenshots, breaking down different combinations and different styles of fighting. For all the people that want to out technical and out science and get their beakers and test tubes going, RIP Lucas Tracy or the Sandhagens, all the people that want to break down the minutiae of striking, shut up. Just shut up. This is MMA. There's no room for any of that. There's no sweet science in MMA. The only thing that wins MMA is being a bloody Chad, mate. If Dricus Du Plessis can be the champion of the world, that just means all you have to do is just grin and swing, and you'll end up being a champion of the world. Dricus Du Plessis might be the worst striker in the UFC. I'm not kidding. He looked horrible. I like him. I like Dricus Du Plessis a lot. He's a funny guy. He's a Chad. But his technical striking is non-existent. He looked horrible in there. I think Juliana Pena has got better striking than Dricus Du Plessis. But he just he just wins, mate. He just wins. So good on him. It was great to see. Well done. If you think that you need to technically break down MMA and take screenshots of certain combinations and this is how you win a fight, none of that matters. None of that matters in MMA, and Dricus Du Plessis proves that. You just go in there and get it done somehow. I love it. As for the wrap-up of the fight, I think Israel Adesanya's done. I think it's time for him to move on. Look, he's hit that 35-year-old. He's hit the wall of a combat fighter, clearly. He was winning. I think he was winning until he wasn't, but now the game is over. He's got yet another L. I don't know what the point of trying to stay around is if you're Israel Adesanya and you're not fighting for titles. So go out. Unbelievable. So hold your head up high that you did go out on a loss, but it was a great loss. It was a loss there. You showed off your skills and showed that you could stand in there, but maybe the game is just slipping you by at your age. And it was great to see the sportsmanship afterwards. Yes, DDP. Yes, I don't think Israel Adesanya would have been quite as gracious as DDP was. Should Israel Adesanya have won that fight, I don't think he would have been as gracious as DDP was. But we'll never know. That's not the reality that we live in. And it was great to see them bury the hatchet and look like they were actually, there's a potential for them to be mates after this, which is really, really good to see. What is next for DDP? I believe that it is going to be the winner of Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. Should Khamzat Chimaev win that fight? If Whittaker wins that fight, then I think Dana White is going to give it to Sean Strickland. Dana White has said that Sean Strickland is next, and Dana White has said that the winner of Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker is next. Both can't be true. I think that the UFC are going to pick between Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland, depending on the way things go. But that is a video for another time. UFC 305, overall, great card. Really, really enjoyed every minute of it. Let me know down there in the comments, what was your favorite moment of UFC 305? What do you think is next for Israel Adesanya? If you enjoyed this video and you're already subscribed, go ahead and hit that like button. If this is your first time around here on the channel, welcome. And why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe? I try and make an MMA video every single day. We do live streams where we make tier lists or we react to certain fights. We have general Q&A sessions, so you can come and check those live streams out. But until then, that is it for today. You guys have yourselves a great one, and I'll see you all in the next video.